How's it going, everybody? ChaoticMeatball here, and welcome back to the channel. So today, we're tackling the newest Pokemon game in the franchise, Legends Arceus. It's so weird having back-to-back new games, with Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl only having just released in November, and Legends being such a radical new direction for the series. I can only imagine what's coming up ahead here. I actually haven't gotten the chance to see the game in action yet, other than a little bit of research I had to do for level caps and encounters for this video, seeing as we're doing a flying type only hardcore Nuzlocke as my first playthrough. Thankfully, we've got plenty of encounters for this run though, a whopping 15 in fact. Rowlet, Starly, Beautifly, Zubat, Drifloon, Mothim, Combee, Scyther, Yanma, Togetic, Murkrow, Chatot, Mantike, Gligar, and Rufflet are all at my beck and call, though we will have to work around some problems when they come up. The rules are fairly simple, only changes compared to hardcore Nuzlockes of previous games are that if my trainer blacks out by getting hit too much, that also requires me to reset the run, not just if I lose all my Pokemon. I can only use flying type Pokemon, and this one's probably the biggest doozy since Legends Arceus requires a lot of capturing, so I'll just stick to getting one of each Pokemon listed to use, and the rest cannot be used in battle. From there though, everything else is the same. Is it gonna blow me out of the water like the League did in BDSP, or will I have a generally smooth time? Well, let's find out. But before we do, make sure to like this video. Let's aim for 3,000 likes this go around. Subscribe to the channel as well as Beast Coast Pokemon for other Pokemon content involving myself. And last but certainly not least, thank you to today's sponsor, NordVPN. As I'm sure you're aware, surveillance and data mining are everywhere in the modern world, going under the nose of many unaware consumers. But thankfully, with NordVPN, you do have an easy one-for-all solution across plenty of different devices. One account with NordVPN can cover up to 6 devices at once, ranging from core operating systems like Windows, macOS, and Linux, to your current gaming devices like the Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, and Nintendo Switch. And with one click of a button, NordVPN turns you into an anonymous user that's difficult to track, encrypting your data and preventing it from being taken and sold to companies for targeted ads, as well as preventing geo-blocking, where video and streaming services limit your library simply because of where you're located. Simply search a country, connect to it, and refresh the page, and there we go, I'm on Canadian YouTube now. Feels pretty good about now, eh? I'm sorry to all of my Canadian viewers out there. Anyway, you can support the channel today by going to nordvpn.com/chaoticmeatball to get a 2-year plan plus 1 additional month free and an additional gift. It's NordVPN's birthday this month, so they're wanting to give people a deal, which I can always appreciate. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, and I'd highly recommend giving them a shot no matter if you're a first-time VPN user or have been using them for years. Their service is genuinely great, otherwise I wouldn't be talking about it. Once again, thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video, and let's get into my first ever playthrough of Pokemon Legends Arceus. So right off the bat, Arceus lets me choose my trainer look, name, and sends us from the sky into the world of Hisui. Very hilarious if you ask me that this storyline is literally an isekai. I wonder what model of truck our main character got hit by to get here. Probably one that Mew was hidden under. I'm sorry, I had to get that one in there. I guess while we handle some of this intro stuff, I'll go ahead and further explain this challenge, seeing as we're in relatively uncharted territory when it comes to the Pokemon series. First of all, level caps are pretty loose in this game. Basically, the only things that I'm considering for level caps are the Alpha Cricketoon at the beginning and the Noble Pokemon, as well as the Legendaries at the end. Since this game doesn't have the normal badge progression, it's the best way I could solve that problem. Also, encounters might be a wee bit weird. I still don't know the lay of the land in this game due to it being my first playthrough, and only with a bit of prior research to establish my encounters and level caps. So if I get like 2 Pokemon in one area, tough. They're all available in separate areas from what I looked up, so I'm not going to be too strict with that one. I'm going to give myself a little bit of leeway with this game in the very possible case that I do somehow screw up by getting something in an area that I already got an encounter in. With that said, let's begin. I'm able to get my starter from Professor Laventon, so I choose Rowlet. After all, it's the only flying type starter in the game. Sadly for me, though, Hisuian Decidueye is a grass fighting type, so I'll have to remain with this and eventually Dartrix for the entire run. Before I get my Survey Corps uniform though, Volo from the Ginkgo Guild, I'm just gonna say Gingo because it's faster. I'm guessing he's gonna be our main rival for the game, starting with Togepi. Well, first observation I'm making here is, dear lord, why do I have so much HP at level 5? I'm gonna guess they changed base stats in this game. Either way, I'm able to hit 3 gusts, taking 2 tackles before taking the win. It's also pretty sick that I can move my trainer around and change the camera angle during the battle. Very fun to mess around with. With that in hand, though, I'm able to get on the Survey Corps duties, and because Legends Arceus revolves around a ton of Pokemon catching, it's going to provide a lot of EXP, so I'm going to have to make sure I don't go over the level cap, while also completing as many missions as possible as early as possible. While doing the beginning bits with Akari, I'm able to capture myself a new encounter in Starly. This is going to be a pretty useful one, I'm sure. Having access to a powerful fighting type move in close combat's bound to be powerful, but from there, we're able to basically freely wander around, complete missions, and rank up our star rating in the Galaxy Survey Corps. Funnily enough, these stars actually give you soft level caps themselves, seeing as Pokemon won't obey you if they're too high of a level in comparison to your rank. So if you don't have any stars, you can only have up to level 10, 1 star is 20, 2 is 30, and so on. I figured getting this as high as I could before setting out for game progression would be the wisest choice, and that was quite a crazy adventure, about 5 hours worth. While on the way through collecting the Pokemon for the decks and my missions, I'm able to get a Wormpole to eventually evolve into Beautyfly before heading back to Silene to receive my first star. With that, my Pokemon can go up to level 20 without problems, though that's only enough to get me to the first noble Pokemon in Cleaver and nothing more, so I'm going to have to go back out to the field to ensure that I don't have to do too much more of this later in the run. However, Akari wants to battle before I go out again, and she's got a level 9 Pikachu, so I might be in for a world of hurt. Luckily, it's her only Pokemon, so I can lead off with Beautyfly and attempt to outpower her out of the game with a fully evolved Pokemon at this point. But unfortunately for me, she already has Thunder Wave, blocking me out of doing much damage at all, so instead I swap into Rowlet and have the same paralysis problem. I can't really do anything safely except click Roost and hope to break through paralysis. And this is where I also noticed that it's not just a turn-based RPG based on speed. You can actually take multiple turns if you're a lot faster than your opponent and vice versa, as well as there being both agile and strong style versions of moves, sacrificing power for quicker turns in the case of the former, and sacrificing movement and more power points for the strong style. I mean, if we're doing strong style, then why aren't we moving as fast as the king of strong style himself? Either way, I'm eventually able to take down Pikachu with a few leafages, but it is a pretty worrisome fight. If I had lost a member of my team on this battle, I think I would have been pretty upset, but I'm going to have to watch out for this battle system, since dear lord, how am I supposed to know when I'm going to move and when my opponent's going to randomly move twice in a row? For instance, Octopath Traveler has this same sort of battle system where your characters can potentially move more than once before your opponent does and vice versa, but it tells you the order of turns on the top of the screen. There's nothing of the sort here in Legends Arceus, which I think is going to be the thing that frustrates me the most, but other than that, I'm having a blast so far. Anyway, Zissou comes up to us and tells us that we've got to go take care of that Alpha Cricketoon, but not before I get a few more encounters and stars under my belt. During the night, I can find myself a Drifloon, pretty sick encounter for this early on in the game, and thanks to the fact that I can capture Pokemon without engaging a battle, I can just take my full core team out of my party and put in Pokemon that I'm not allowed to use in battle, since I'm not battling. Fantastic stuff, I must say. Either way, I'm able to capture a boatload of cool Pokemon, and overleveled ones, like Staravia, Mr. Mime, Luxray, Kadabra, Gastrodon, Graveler, an ungodly amount of failed attempts on a Snorlax who's ready to eat the nearest human, and so on and so forth. It's enough to get my rank all the way up to 3 out of 10 stars, giving me the ability to use Feather and Great Balls, which should come in handy for later encounters, as well as getting me up to a level 40 cap. So I shouldn't have to worry about too much until we get later on in the game. So, looking back at my footage, I can clearly tell that I got carried away during this part. When I start a brand new game, I tend to be a bit of a completionist, so I was completing research tasks left and right, to the point where I got all the way up to the 4th star rank, which is one away from what I need to be able to beat the game. Thankfully, that saves me time later, though I feel I spent more time than necessary here. Either way, I'm able to basically capture so many different types of Pokemon and evolve plenty of different things, which isn't relevant to the Nuzlocke, but releasing stuff is. See, when you release a Pokemon, you have a chance of receiving 4 different types of grit items, those being grit dust, gravel, pebble, and rocks. These are essentially what act as vitamins for EVs in Legends Arceus, though they can max out every stat of a Pokemon should you choose to do so. I don't think I'll ever be able to get over the fact that my level 6 Drifloon has 138 HP. Also, since I have so much money for this point in the game, I'm able to head over to Zisu to teach all of my Pokemon some good moves. And here's where I discover that Pokemon are able to hold on to more than 4 moves at a time, technically. See, a Pokemon has access to their full arsenal of moves, but you can only bring 4 into a battle at a time. It's actually a really sick quality of life update to where I can adjust my movesets depending on the next boss fight, and ensure I keep my advantage while also not wasting time. Speaking of advantage, holy cow, look at all these crazy moves. Drifloon can get Mystical Fire, Calm Mind, Shadow Ball, Ominous Wind, Charge Beam, Icy Wind. Beautifly can get Energy Ball, Shadow Ball, Leech Life, Swift. Rowlet can get Aerial Ace, Magical Leaf, Psycho Cut. Like, I can't stress enough that this game gives you so many tools to work with, it's absolutely nuts. But with nearly 18 hours of game time behind me, I finally moved into the second area of the Obsidian Fieldlands, where Akari and Amai are awaiting my arrival. Sorry to force y'all into waiting for nearly a full real day, hope you enjoyed your nice camping trip. Mai's mad that I took so long, so she's ready to toss her Munchlax at me. Initially, I thought that I was leading with Drifloon here, seeing as I put it at the front of my party in the menu, but I forgot that you choose your lead through the revolving menu on the bottom right of the main, screen of the game. Alas, this is the battle where I must tell you to disregard my last statement about not knowing the order of attacks. Turns out this game has literally the exact feature from Octopath Traveler I was looking for, though I don't understand for the life of me why this isn't the default for it to display. Anyway, I lead with Starly, going for an Aerial Ace before I see Rollout doing over half. So I look to see if an Agile-style Gust will let me move twice in a row before swapping, and it does, allowing me to get a wee bit more chip damage before I'm forced to swap into my Drifloon. Thankfully, this thing is a massive tank, so the second hit of Rollout does literally nothing, especially thanks to the offense decrease put out by Mystical Fire since I was able to move again, winning me the match. Not too shabby, and just ahead on the path is the Alpha Cricketoon, my first level cap barrier at level 12. Drifloon's perfect for this, seeing as Mystical Fire can blast into Oblivion, reduce its attack, then finish it off next turn after landing a light Aerial Ace. Not too bad, if I do say so myself, everything has been going pretty well. With that taken down though, Wordeer appears and is like, "Hello my child, do not be alarmed. Deers with beards are based and red-pilled." So I agree, then head off for my next mission, where I meet Adaman and Irida of the Diamond and Pearl clans, respectively. Original clan names inserted here, I guess. This is the point where the game starts sending me on a wild goose chase to take down the 5 noble Pokemon of the game, those being Cleaver of the Obsidian Fieldlands, Lilligant of the Crimson Mirelands, Arcanine of the Cobalt Coastlands, Electrode of the Coronet Highlands, and Avalugg of the Alabaster Icelands. So, in an effort to keep this short and sweet, I'll go over the major battles beforehand, as well as the noble fights themselves. You'll hear all about the nitty-gritty of capturing and finding Pokemon in the Professor Oak's challenge of this game, because trust me, it's quite the doozy from my research. Before heading off, I make sure to dump a ton of my money into upgrading my satchel so I can hold plenty more items, then head off for Cleaver of the Obsidian Fieldlands. I can't quite get to it right now though, seeing as Leon is blocking my way. I insist that I need to get to it, and he's angry, so we're gonna have a good ol' fight. Gumi's his only Pokemon here though, so I go with Rowlet, using Aerial Ace for the near one-shot as he uses Agile-style Acid Spray, nailing a second regular one afterwards to put Rowlet into the low yellow, but another Aerial Ace is able to connect afterwards to pick up the KO. Probably should start looking up the movesets of these guys to make sure I don't accidentally lose a Pokemon anywhere, though I will say this blind playthrough is making it a bit more fun. Upon returning back to the village, I'm able to make bombs to use for Cleaver, then go back to where I fought the Alpha Cricketoon to obtain the Ocarina of Time, the Celestica Flute, to call upon Wordeer. This makes traversing the map a lot more fun and a lot faster, thankfully, so let's go take down Cleaver. Beforehand, on my last expedition of the area, though, I made sure to grab myself a Zubat and a Scyther to add to my collection of flying types, putting me up to a full team, as well as getting them up to level 18, though no edging since we still have one more fight before Cleaver. Since this game has the EXP share as a mechanic rather than an item, the only way for me to get EXP on one Pokemon at a time is to ride around the map on Wyrdeer, then throw my Pokemon at any Tumblestone or Berry Tree that I see, so that I can get both the items and the extra 15 EXP for each one I break down. Handy, but hardly a good way of grinding. With it all out of the way though, Irida stops me just before Cleaver. She wants to test my power, and with a Glaceon, I might be in a rough spot with flying types. Oh, who am I kidding? I send in Drifloon, use 2 Mystical Fires, and put the frozen bastard out of its misery. Now, hilariously, going into the Cleaver fight, I don't even have to send out a Pokemon? This is literally a Legend of Zelda boss where I have to time my dodges and attack where the openings are. Not gonna lie, I was pretty shocked by this, but I'm gonna guess that this was the first boss and then I'm gonna have an easy time regardless. I'm sure I'll see a ramp up in difficulty with the later fights, and I'll have to actually use a Pokemon to attack and then be able to get more damage in. With that though, I'm given the Insect Plate and sent back to the Commander Kamado for my next mission to solve the problem over on the Crimson Mirelands with Lilligant. Before I'm allowed to head out though, Akari stops me as she wants to have another battle. Probably because I changed my outfit to look like a maniac from the future, and she's not very happy about it. She's added a new member to her team, that being a Mime Jr., but it's no match for my Drifloon as Shadow Ball one-shots it and leads to her Pikachu. She's able to land an Agile-style Thunder Shock and miss a Thunder Wave before I can attack, using Mystical Fire to nearly one-shot as she misses Thunder Wave for a second time, giving me the opening I needed to fire off Shadow Ball, KO, and win the battle. I bet that if I had fired off Shadow Ball first, I wouldn't have had to get that luck on the second Thunder Wave, but alas, we live and we learn. Now I can move out into the Crimson Mirelands, which has a boatload of new Pokemon I go after before actually progressing. Though I do make sure to evolve my Zubat into Golbat at level 22, which is immediately able to evolve again into Crobat. Well, I guess it helps to have it in the party for that friendship. Crobat this early always feels broken in any Pokemon game, so I'll absolutely take it. Anyway, before progression, I also made sure to capture a male Burmy so that I'll be able to get Mothim for use later, as well as a Magikarp, seeing as Gyarados is always a broken Pokemon in Nuzlocke, and fortunately has that nice flying typing that I need. Lastly, I finally hit rank 5 in the Galaxy team, giving me access to Ultra Balls and Pokemon to obey me up to level 65. And this is perfect, though I do think I might boost up to rank 6, just because level 65 is the cap for the final boss, and I don't want to be dealing with obedience problems on the final boss. So let's make sure to grab that beforehand. Also, someone please tell me why Gyarados gets such a freaking busted moveset in this game. Seriously, Iron Head, Bulldoze, Aqua Tail, and Crunch for good physical moves, Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, and Dark Pulse for special moves. What more can a person ask for here? With it all out of the way though, it's time to continue forward, and Volo wants to battle again before I go towards my second ride Pokemon, this time adding a Gibble to his team. Togepi, Gibble, and blonde hair with a recognizable face. Wonder who's he's the ancestor to. Either way, I go for Gyarados and sweep through, using Ice Fang twice on Togepi to KO, and once on Gibble to tear through and win the fight. Not too bad if I do say so myself. Now to track down some bandits real quick before our next noble fight. And I've gotta say, they really don't hide the fact that these are ancestors of Candace, Bertha, and Saturn. Though the center honestly looks like she could be an ancestor of Agatha as well, but I think the former's correct. After all, this is a Sinnoh prequel of all things. Either way, Coin wants to battle, and she's got a Toxicroak. Fitting, because Saturn also had one. Pretty strong for this early in the game though, since it normally doesn't evolve until the late 30s. Though Drifloon's Mystical Fire is always a good thing to put any opponent into their place, firing off 2 of them and getting a low roll on the second one to barely not pick up the KO. Though 2 Venishocks isn't even enough to take Drifloon below 85% HP, KOing with the third and winning the battle. I get the wall fragments back, and it's time to fight Ursa Luna. Oh, seriously, why did they make Ursaring's evolution go on all 4s? I really don't like this. I figured this would be another good level cap though, seeing as it's the halfway point of the area. So I went in with Gyarados, and thanks to the new ground typing that it has compared to Teddiursa and Ursaring, this fight becomes rather trivial with Gyarados. The first Aqua Tail does over half as she uses Baby Doll Eyes to lower my attack, then slash for under half damage, so I stay in and use another one. Oh, I miss. Unfortunately, Aqua Tail is rather unreliable, so I'll have to take another slash, and thankfully it doesn't crit, so I'm able to hang in here. I've got 2 turns in a row, so I figured there's no risk in leaving Gyarados in and trying Aqua Tail again, though the Baby Doll Eyes makes it so that I can't KO, leaving Ursa Luna on such a small sliver that I just fire off Crunch with the 100% accuracy on the second turn to grab that last bit of HP, KO, and win the fight. Ursa Luna is a pretty neat ride Pokemon, all things considered, seeing as I can find hidden items akin to how Stoutland works in Gen 7, but that's not what you're here for. Well, after a few more story shenanigans, it's finally time to meet up with Lilligant and get this thing calmed down. Alright, I have 2 complaints here. 1, why is there 2 new grass fighting types? You made Hisuian Decidueye a grass fighting type, and you made Lilligant a grass fighting type. Could have probably tried a little bit more diversity there. Second, why did you have to design this to make this Rule 34 friendly? We already have enough Pokemon to do that with. I'm not forgiving Game Freak for that one. Either way, Lilligant's attack pattern is pretty predictable, and so I'm able to roll around, dodging her floor waves and throwing the Marsh Bombs until she's down, not needing a single Pokemon to calm the noble Pokemon of this area. You know what, I'm just going to use a Pokemon the next fight. I feel this is rather anticlimactic if I don't use a Pokemon in each area's main boss fight. So the same thing happens again here. I return to Commander Kamado, get a new issue with the next area's Warden and their noble Pokemon, and I'm sent to investigate. Cobalt Coastlands is next on the list, and I actually got out of this place in around an hour and 15 minutes. Though before I can do anything, I'm dropped into another battle with Arita. Weirdly enough, there's a wild Eevee that fights alongside her, but it's only level 15, so I just use my newly evolved Drifblim and Mystical Fire to take out Glaceon in 2 shots, seeing an Ice Beam that does around a third, but not enough to put a significant dent in Drifblim, especially when the wild Eevee sits there and uses Quick Attack on a Ghost type as I fire off 2 Thunderbolts to KO and win. From here though, it's quite the breeze. Basically, just by catching the alpha Pokemon in the area that were overleveled in comparison to the rest of my Pokemon, I was able to get most things up to level 35 with the cap being 36, so I felt that I was in a good position. With that, I'm able to evolve my Staravia into Staraptor, which I guess I haven't pointed out, but you select when your Pokemon evolve in this game rather than it being automatic. I quite like this change, since it means I don't have to press the B button every time Dartrix levels up from here on out, since I'm not allowed to use Hisuian Decidueye in this run since it's grass fighting type. A little more story nets us our 3rd ride Pokemon in Basculegion, and boy this thing is fast. Remember Sharpedo from Sun and Moon? Yeah, this is that on steroids, and I'm realizing they literally just recycled every single ride Pokemon from Sun and Moon because they didn't have any new ideas. I'm gunning for this island's noble Arcanine, so I'm just going straight there with Basculegion, and 3 battles stand in the way of this, those being the bandits from earlier. I'm also unable to heal between them, so I might be in for a bit of trouble. First up is Clover, going with Abomasnow, fitting as to whose ancestry she's a part of. Since this is 4 times weak to fire though, Drifblim's right up front to burn it down, one-shotting with Mystical Fire and leading to Coin. I meant to put Psychic on Drifblim before this fight because it also gets Psychic, I don't know why, but that's fine. 2 Shadow Balls are able to put her down, though a Poison Jab does do a bit of damage and gets the poison off, so this last fight might be a wee bit rough. Charm starts out with Rhydon, and I notice that I'm not poisoned anymore. That's appreciated, but, you know, against a rock type I don't think it's gonna matter much. I go for Shadow Ball since Rhydon usually has Piss Poor special defense, but it's not quite enough to one-shot, and Rock Slide's able to KO Drifblim from half, eliminating my first Pokemon from the run. Not a problem, I still have plenty of other encounters in the pool, so Gyarados is able to come in, finish it off with Ice Fang, and lead to Gengar. I saw this Gengar in one of the cutscenes, so I figured Gyarados would cover that, landing a Crunch for the one-shot KO and the win. Alright, all that's left is Noble Arcanine, evolving from the small Growlithe here, since apparently the last one is dead. That's a little bit dark for a Pokemon game. They don't exactly say it's dead, but they use the phrase, "The ocean swallowed up the former lord," and "the late lord's child," so clearly that's what they mean. Before Arcanine though, I made sure to swap out Drifblim for my Beautifly, even though I'm not going to use it in this fight, not by a long shot. I should at least start building up the EXP though. Arcanine's the first difficult boss fight of the game though, seeing as I have a weirdly shaped arena to dodge in, while also having to avoid several different types of attacks like tackles, pounces, potential fire blasts. But when I figured I could take advantage of the situation, Hisuian Arcanine is a fire rock type, so I get the opportunity to send in a Pokemon. I choose Gyarados, smashing it with an Aqua Tail and gaining a huge advantage as he begins to burn the middle of the arena. This effectively cuts off half of it for me, so I just do some more dodging, getting the last hit right before he lands another tackle, beating him, and getting rid of the yellow aura, finishing the third of 5 noble Pokemon. And thank goodness too, I was worried I was actually going to faint to him. Though I did have a charm in my satchel. Essentially, you can make charms that keep status conditions away from your trainer or give you another opportunity if you black out, though I'm not exactly sure how it triggers. If it's in battle, like it'll pick you up after you get to the point where you would be blacking out, or if it's just a redo without losing your items. If it's a redo, I still have to reset since I blacked out, so I'm glad I didn't have to learn that. Boy, that's a mouthful. On to the next area. Before moving on to the Coronet Highlands, Adaman is being rather adamant about fighting me. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. But he's got a Leafeon with an Eevee helping him out, so I just use Crobat and Sludge Bomb the Leafeon, KOing immediately and leaving the Eevee to fall to the same next turn. Sorry, bud, you tried. Melly is also here, and he's just an annoying character. Whoever decided to make this person a warden is quite frankly a moron. Now that I'm done with that, though, I'm able to head off into the Coronet Highlands. However, I'm not quite ready for that. Instead, I want to finish maxing out my team's effort levels by grinding more grit dust, and that requires more captures and releases. So much so that I'm able to jump from 6 stars all the way up to 8. And that's plenty enough to optimize my movesets and max out all of the effort levels on my Pokemon, including my new addition to the team, Yanmega. I couldn't find a nickname that would keep with the cool name that it has, so I just kept it as such and brought all of its effort levels up to level 10 as well as everyone else's, making me ready for the Highlands. First things first, Ingo wants me to walk through Wayward Cave, and he talks about a few things that are interesting, namely that he's not from Hisui either, and it makes sense. Initially, I was questioning why a character in this universe would be exactly like the subway boss over in Unova, until he said that he fell into this world as well, however with amnesia, forgetting entirely about his partner Emmett. It's rather depressing if you think about it, but that's yet another Gen 5 connection that I can't help but harp on. After all, the only new legendary Pokemon introduced in this game outside of the origin forms of Dialga and Palkia is Enamorus, a 4th Genie Pokemon to match with Tornadus, Thundurus, and Landorus of, you guessed it, Unova and Generation 5. It gets me really excited about the potential of a Pokemon Legends Kyurem, and that we may finally get the chance to see the original dragon, the form spoken about several times in the games but never shown, that being the full combination of Reshiram, Zekrom, and Kyurem as one being. Would be a dream come true, to say the least. With my gushing out of the way, though, Melly's in the way because he apparently thinks that Electrode's rampaging is a good thing, and I'm always a fan of stamping out stupidity. He's got a Skuntank, which I just take out with Gyarados and 2 Bulldozes. I tried to one-shot it with the strong style, but I was slightly under what was necessary. Not a problem, but it does feel like the effort levels are coming in very handy here. Before I'm able to get this area's ride Pokemon, though, I've got to fight Ingo and his team, and he's got 3 Pokemon, so I feel like this is a decently fair fight. He starts with Machoke, so I go with Crobat, using a strong style Aerial Ace to pick up the one-shot as he goes into Tangela, getting a Stun Spore off before I'm able to move again. No matter, I just hit a Cross Poison for the one-shot, as Gliscor is his last Pokemon. Despite doing not too much damage, this thing is fast, using things like Aerial Ace and Quick Attack while I'm paralyzed, only allowing for Crobat to hit a single Aerial Ace before I'm forced to swap. I go into Gyarados, finishing the fight with a strong style Ice Fang for that quad weakness and the KO. Not bad at all, and I actually had fun with that fight, unlike the rest of these really easy ones thus far. With him down though, I'm finally given a mechanism to climb the mountainous regions of Hisui, and that is Sneasler. Fucking Sneasler. Whose godforsaken idea was it to name this piece of shit Sneasler? What is it? More Sneasel? It's Sneasler. Yeah, I know I'm bashing on it a little bit too hard, but I'm not letting up. With Hisuian Sneasel's white and purple design, I should be allowed to expect something better out of the new evolution. Hell, just make a white and purple Hisuian Weavile, and maybe make it a little different, I don't even care. But whoever named the Pokemon Sneasler, please kindly go f*** yourself. Anyway, there's nothing else inhibiting me from going towards Electrode's lair, though Melly stops me once again right before I can enter. This time she's got an assistant Zubat and Skorupi, though thanks to a critical bulldoze on Skuntank, I'm able to one-shot, then take down the Zubat with an Agile-style Ice Fang, and Skorupi with a bulldoze, winning the battle. Now he's giving me more runaround though, saying he forgot what Electrode likes, so I can't make bombs to calm him down, but thankfully the plot steps in and gives me Adamant to tell me exactly what Electrode likes, otherwise I'd be kind of boned. Seriously, why would you write in a character that just kneecaps you from being able to progress the plot and then using another character to progress the plot? Just fire the guy and replace him with somebody that actually cares about his job. Anyway, before I enter though, I made sure to get to the level cap of 46 by capturing some of the new Pokemon of the area, like Hisuian Voltorb, Gligar, Gliscor, Rhydon, and holy crap, a level 74 Rhyperior. With that in the bag though, it's time to take out Electrode, and this guy's fast as balls. Double entendre jokes aside, this thing is pretty difficult. I've got to avoid bombs, Electro Balls, and self-destructs that envelop about half of the available arena. Thankfully, I'm able to send in my Crobat once he uses self-destruct, and with the partial grass typing, Grass Poison is able to one-shot every time, giving me plenty of damage. 3 of those later, and I'm able to finish off the Electrode, calming it down, and leaving just one area to go. Alright, there's only one place left to go, and that's the Alabaster Icelands, though Akari is ready for another fight before I can head in there, so let's take her down. She starts out with a Mr. Mime, a great target for my Crobat and its new Cross Poison, one-shotting thanks to that fairy weakness and leading to Pikachu. It's able to land a Thunderbolt for nearly half while also paralyzing, so I figured I'd swap into Dartrix, helping mitigate that electric weakness of my entire team, and taking a quick attack and Iron Tail before landing 2 Psycho Cuts to KO. Jeez, what is this, Ash's Pikachu during the advanced generation? My best bet that the last move we didn't see was Volt Tackle. Anyway, her last Pokemon is Staravia, which, why is this thing unevolved at level 46? If it wasn't unevolved, then Dartrix would have actually fallen to this brave bird, but alas, my unevolved friend is able to fight another day, giving me the chance to swap into Gyarados and land a strong style Ice Fang to KO and win the battle. Sweet! Now that I'm able to head into the Icelands, I'm ready to rush through the end of this game, seeing as I've basically gotten everything I've needed from the main game, though I do take some time to capture some new Pokemon like Snorunt, Glalie, Snover, Abomasnow, Bergmite, and my most likely to be final encounter, Rufflet. Since the level cap for this area is 56, I'm able to evolve it pretty much instantly, maxing out all of its effort levels thanks to the extra crit items I had still laying around, and I went back to the village of course to retrieve both some moves for Braviary like Mystical Fire, Psychic, and Dazzling Gleam, seeing as the new variant is a Psychic flying type, while also getting the 9th star rank from Silene. This one's actually useful for me at the moment, seeing as she gives 10 rare candies for getting to this rank, so hopefully I can accelerate some of that endgame leveling later, seeing as the next level cap is 65. Alright, time for the few battles in the Icelands. Garrick is the warden of this area and challenges me to prove my worth once again. Pretty easy to do after I've done this a billion times. I'm easily able to clean the clocks of both his Glalie and Frostlass with one flamethrower apiece from Gyarados, KOing and letting me move on to this wannabe anime girl and her Braviary. That's not the craziest thing I've seen today. She makes me track her down multiple times, eventually landing over in the Snow Point Temple, and since I don't feel like solving puzzles, I just look them up online and proceed on my merry way, getting to the end and being forced to fight Sabi's Rhyperior at level 50, alongside a Magmortar and Electivire both at level 30. I send in Gyarados since it's basically perfect for the job outside of Electivire, taking out Rhyperior with a single Aqua Tail, then tanking a Thunder Wave and Flamethrower from Electivire and Magmortar. Though, oddly enough, Thunder Wave paralyzed me, then Flamethrower burned me, so that's pretty cool that status ailments can just override the previous one. Alas, I'm happy since I'd rather be burned over paralyzed, using Bulldoze on Magmortar but not quite getting the one-shot due to the halved attack. Flamethrower once again does small damage, and an Agile-style Bulldoze finishes it off to leave just Electivire. Thunder Punch does significant damage though, so I swap out into Crobat to hit an Agile-style Cross Poison, then a regular one to KO and win the fight, finally giving me access to Braviary. I thought this was going to be relatively free flight, but turns out it's more of a hover with a slow descent a la Knuckles from Sonic Adventure or something like that. Not the coolest thing in the world, but upon taking it down with 2 of Gyarados' crunches, I'm able to move onto it and grab the Eternal Ice from the center of the area, facing off against the Noble Avalugg afterwards. This boss fight is rather interesting though, seeing as I've got a very limited space to work around due to the sheer size of the Pokemon. And the patterns of attacks are pretty easy to work around because of it, as I was able to get half of Avalugg's HP down before sending in Gyarados at the first opportunity. Iron Head is quite effective on this Ice Rock type, though the astronomically high physical defense makes it still a 3-shot. Using one of them, then taking a Mountain Gale for a third, and using an Agile-style Iron Head as well as another regular one, depleting his HP to 0 before I can open him up with another batch of bombs, taking out nearly another quarter of his HP before he regains his composure, and leaves just the rest of his HP to get drained on his Ice Breaths, I guess. I mean, I don't even know what these are. I'm guessing they're Ice Breaths? Whatever. It's dead anyway. I don't care. I report back to Commander Kamado, and everything's hunky-dory until the next day where the sky turns into an ugly batch of colors, and Kamado blames me for bringing about this hellscape, so he banishes me from Jubilee Village. Bullshit, to say the least, but I can understand the quick jump to conclusions as our character did fall out of the sky. It's not exactly the easiest thing to describe. Here I'm sent on a bit of a fetch quest with the help of Volo and Mistress Kagita to obtain fragments of the Lake Guardians, though each has their own protector. Here I have to take on a Hisuian Zoroark in order to get to Uxie, Overquill to get to Azelf, and Hisuian Gudra to get to Mesprit. None of them really being too hard to go over move by move, but enough to where it was cool to see that all of these new Pokemon and forms are getting more attention because we haven't seen them up to this point. This gives me all of the things I need to construct the red chain and head to the top of Mount Coronet to stop all this nonsense. Benny's in the way though, and I guess he's not a cook, he's a ninja. And the ancestor of Wally of all people. He's got the green hair, he's got both a Gardevoir and Gallade. I can buy it. He leads off with a Miss Magius, so I go with Gyarados, using Crunch to one-shot it as he goes into Gardevoir, firing off an Agile-style Calm Mind and Psychic before I can move. And it's kind of unfortunate because he does crit for nearly half, though it's not that much of a big deal here. Thanks to Gyarados' speed at this point though, I'm given 2 attacks in a row, so I use 2 Iron Heads to get the leg up on the Fairy type, KOing through the Calm Mind and leading to Gallade. It sets up Swords Dance, and yeah, that's pretty much all she wrote. Psycho Cut hits before I use an Agile-style Aqua Tail for over half, then contemplate a swap in order to play around a potential Aqua Tail miss. And somehow I'm given another turn after swapping into Scyther because of its sheer speed, picking up the KO with Aerial Ace, leaving just Sneasler. This is actually a poison and fighting type, a la Toxicroak, so one Aerial Ace is able to pick up the KO, winning me the battle and leading me to the final frontier. Spear Pillar is just ahead, and oddly enough it's completely intact, though I doubt it will be like that for long. Commander Kamado is just ahead, and he's still insistent on the fact that I'm the problem, so I'm gonna face him in battle and prove that I am truly the correct one, because I have no intention on being wrong, ever. When have I ever been wrong? Comments down below. I want to know when I've ever been wrong. Make a list. I doubt you'll be able to make anything on there ever. And if you do, you're banned. I'm just kidding. It's okay. He leads off with Braviary, so I go with my Gyarados and go with Crunch, nearly one-shot, as he uses a Max Potion right after. Gen 1 flashbacks, I guess. Good stuff for me, though, so I can just go for a strong-style Crunch to KO. Right? Well, it turns out it just gets a low roll and does about as much as my last regular one did, giving him a chance to fire off an Air Cutter before I grab the KO with an Agile-style Iron Head leading to Golem. It's able to hit Stealth Rock, weird that it's a damaging move with Fire Spin-esque residual damage, but I like it, though he does go down to Aqua Tail, so we're not going to see it again. His third Pokemon, Snorlax, is pretty scary though, hitting a Giga Impact that nearly KOs Gyarados, though I can swap into Crobat and get some heavy damage off with 2 Cross Poisons before he can move, using Zen Headbutt and getting a critical hit on me before I'm able to KO with a third, leaving just Clefable. Though I think I'm safe to stay in here, especially after a Calm Mind and seeing that Crobat can move twice in a row. 2 cross poisons through Calm Mind is all that it takes to seal the deal, leaving just 2 battles left in the game. Since I decided to go with Irida earlier on for the Lake Guardian fetch quest, Palkia is the legendary that I've got to face in a regular battle, though this isn't much of a struggle. Spatial Rend doesn't actually do a ton of damage to Gyarados, only doing around 25% per hit, so I just stay in and use 2 crunches, getting the defense drop on the first and hitting him down to the near red on the second, then started chucking Ultra Balls. It does get Gyarados close to a KO, so I swap into Scyther, then chuck a second Ultra Ball, capturing it and finishing up the game with 1 fight remaining. The portal opens to reveal Dialga, but thanks to the red chain already being used up on Palkia, I've got to retreat. I need to get a piece of Origin Ore so that Laventon can make a Pokeball that will work to help capture Dialga and finally bring an end to all of it. But do you remember those bandits from earlier in the game? Yeah, for some reason they're just back now. These guys just don't know when to... Wait. If we do that, we fundamentally change the fabric of the Pokemon universe. Best we not shoot them with a big old laser beam. Charm is the only one in my way, though, leading with Rhydon, whom I destroy with Aqua Tail, then KO with Gengar with a Crunch after tanking a Hypnosis and a Shadow Ball. Thank goodness Sleep doesn't work like it does in other games. The drowsy status is at least a little bit more manageable. One more bit of story later, and I'm given the Origin Ball, the last thing I need to take on Dialga, and holy crap, let it be known that Dialga's Origin form is one of the most badass things about this game. I'm not a fan of the big horseman Palkia, which is why I decided to go with Irida earlier, but this design, this one just shows the sheer unhinged power of Dialga when attempting to reach the power of Arceus. Sadly though, this boss fight is sort of just mitigated to a Zelda-style boss fight again, this time with a bunch of meteors akin to Electrode's bombs along with these rings that I've got to dodge overhead. Sort of reminds me of Super Mario 64's final Bowser fight of all things, but I'm pretty quickly able to throw enough bombs to subdue Dialga for long enough, throwing the Origin Ball, capturing it, and finishing the game without even sending out a Pokemon against the thing. Well, that was more anticlimactic than I had initially thought. I heard about the extremely difficult boss fight later on against Volo, which I had accounted for in level caps, but turns out this is where the credits roll, and this is where the video ends, since it's already 3 days late as it is. I spent nearly 50 hours on this save file, grinding up effort levels for the majority of it, expecting that I would have to fight Volo at the end. Honestly, I didn't know that it wasn't a part of the main story, and I wouldn't have snapped the main game's difficulty in half if I had known otherwise. So, how about a redo with a different set of Pokemon next time, such as Hisuian Pokemon only? I'm going to try this game again next time, but for that one, I'm going to allow myself only 2 effort levels per area, so 2 for Cleaver, 4 for Lilligant, 6 for Arcanine, 8 for Electrode, and 10 for Avalugg, so I can more appropriately scale the difficulty of the game, then make sure I more effectively use my time so that I get to Volo on time. Hell, maybe I'll even finish up this save file and include the fight against him with my team here, back to back in that video, since I really wanted to try this fight out with my Pokemon that I had available here. After all, I have access to powerful mons like Gyarados, Crobat, and a Togekiss that I had sitting in the box and trained with effort levels, but it never managed to come out. Oh well, I guess you guys will have to wait and see. Thanks for watching, everybody. Shoutouts to my $5 and above patrons, Rantula, Aaron Ladeau, Aaron Rhinesmith, Aiden Brannon, Andy, Austin Rose, Box of Turtles, Casper Kirkpatrick, Cryptic Gamer, I'm Flo, Jacob Johnson, Justin Dimmenstein, Leon Metalg, Zeno, and Zachary Keever. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys next time.